Hi everyone, welcome to day one of this 6-day series, and I wanted to start with asking you something quite important, because when we actually want to make a change with our health, then we need a starting point, right? And so when you think about the thing that you most want to change in your life, whether that's your health, whether it's a relationship, whether it's the way you actually show up in the world, then do you actually believe that you can actually make that change? Because that's a really important thing that we need to start with. We need that starting point, like I said. And when we get a question like this, the usual thing that pops up for many people is, should I be able to, or am I allowed to want it? Am I allowed to want it? I've heard people say that before they've even answered that question in the past. So do your best to actually ignore the urge when you answer that question, the urge to actually justify what you're wanting to change. And it comes up because we're not really used to being asked that question, and we don't actually believe that deep down that it's something we can do. Because most of the women I work with, when they really sit with that question, the actual answer is always no. And they've never said that to anyone before out loud, and they've probably never even admitted it to themselves either when they've actually sat down and looked at it. So today, this is where we're going to start, because we really need to get away from that gap between what you want and what you believe is actually possible for you. And between those two places, there's a bridge. And I'm going to tell you about something that happened to me a few years ago now. And this was quite a while ago, because I've been free from IBS and migraines now for about 38 years I suffered from them, and I've been free for the past 27 years. So yeah, telling you, yes, life flies by. That's all I can say. So I was still suffering with IBS and migraines, and I was actually sitting in yet another appointment with another specialist, where he was giving me another round of, I can't find anything wrong with you. Nothing structurally wrong with you. How many of you have heard that? I'm sure thousands of you have heard that before. I know personally, after 38 years of IBS and migraines, I've probably heard every single version of that sentence that could possibly be uttered. So like many of you as well, I've actually tried every diet. I tried every protocol. I've eliminated all the foods that they told me were triggers, that I didn't know were triggers. Things like chocolate and cheese and citrus and wine and coffee, so many other things. Please tell me which ones you were told were triggers for you, because I might have missed some off that list. I'm sure it's much longer. So let me know if there were any foods that you were told about to avoid. And I followed every single protocol. Like I said, I was doing everything right. I was doing everything by the book, and my body was still doing everything wrong. And when I got a flare up of symptoms, I would actually turn around and say stuff to myself like this: right, I'm going to have a cheese sandwich, or I'm going to have a glass of wine tonight when I go out, or I'm going to have a piece of chocolate. And it felt as if I was justified in eating those things because I'd kept off them all of the time, and yet my symptoms were still there. Nothing worked. So at one point, I remember sitting there thinking, while I was in the middle of my cheese sandwich, saying, what is wrong with me? And you know, that one question, what's wrong with me? It's one I've heard so often. I have that in my inbox. I have that from people in this group. I have that in conversations with people in general, daily life, who are suffering with IBS and migraines and chronic pain as well, whatever that chronic pain might be. But what if I told you that question is the most important clue you have? to actually helping to explain what is actually going wrong for you. And the thing nobody explained to me back then, and what I want to explain to you, is that your nervous system has one primary job, okay? It's not to help you achieve your goals, reach success, win the lottery, find the love of your life, all of those kinds of things. No, it's not that. It's to keep you safe. Once you're safe, you're happy. But its primary job is to keep you safe. And it learned what safe looked like a very, very long time ago, when you were very, very small and the world was very, very big and you were learning the rules of the game. And you will have your own version of what safe looks like, because you've had your own unique experiences in this life. So you will know what safe feels like to you based on the strategies and the things that you've put in place in order to keep that safety there. So you worked out subconsciously a long, long time ago, before you had a language for it, before you knew what was happening around you. And some of those rules went something like this. Okay, if I don't need too much, people won't leave. If I stay small, I don't get hurt. If I work hard enough, maybe I'd finally be enough. That's an interesting one. If I'm visible, something bad will happen. You can add your own in there. I'm sure you've got your own thought processes going on. And you didn't choose these rules, by the way. You just absorbed them like the little sponges that you were, that we all were back then, because we have a brain that operates by soaking up information all day long, and we get these little bits of snippets of information from things that happened, and from what we were told, and from what you watched other people around you doing and saying. And your nervous system filed them in the filing cabinet of your subconscious under survival, and this is how we stay safe. So when you try to change anything and something pulls you back, this is your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's just saying, wait, hang on a minute, this doesn't match what we know in the filing cabinet, this doesn't feel safe, come back, doesn't feel familiar. And it's really important to understand the difference between you resisting these things and self-protection. Okay, so self-protection is really what it's all about. And the thing that gets really interesting when you have IBS, chronic pains or other migraines, is that our nervous system doesn't just live in our brain. Our nervous system lives through the whole of our body. And when it's been in protection mode for a very, very long time, your body starts to show it. And your gut becomes hypersensitive, okay? Very hypersensitive, which means that your pain threshold goes down. You can't stomach pain as well as you can when your nervous system is balanced and in what we call homeostasis. So your body's quite literally holding the tension that your mind has been carrying. So if you think about the flare-up that arrives before you have a very difficult conversation or a stressful interview, for example, that's not a coincidence. And again, I want to ask, who's ever had a migraine that arrives on the first day of your holiday when you finally stop holding on to things and you're trying to relax? Yeah, that happened to me so often, I've got to tell you. And our nervous system is letting go of the tension it's been holding on to for weeks or even months. And what about the bloating that happens when you're out somewhere, or where it just comes on a Sunday evening when you're doing nothing in particular? These are worth asking, what does Sunday evening mean to your nervous system? Okay, and what does going to a certain place mean to your nervous system when that bloating tends to happen? So what I'm saying here essentially is your body's been trying to tell you something for a very long time, and over the next 6 days we're going to start learning its language. I'm excited to do this. So your prompt for today is, it's written in the comment under this video. It's just one question, and you can write it down, you can think about it, you can come and drop it into the comments if you want to share your answers. That's all it is, one question. Don't try and analyse it, don't try and do anything else with it. Just notice what answers come up for you when you ask yourself this question, because awareness is always where this starts. You can't change something if you can't see it. Interesting. And I'll be back tomorrow, and we're going to start finding the story beneath the pattern. So the one that you've been carrying so long, you probably don't even notice it's there anymore. And before you go today, I want to just say, well done for being here. The fact that you're here watching this, asking the question of yourself, it takes real courage that most people don't realise how much courage it takes. And I want you to know that being here means that you are paying attention, okay? And ignore the thoughts and the feelings of feeling like you're a failure or you're weak or you're lazy. No, none of that. You are paying attention to your body now, and that's where change starts to happen. So I'll see you tomorrow, and now go into the comment below and you'll see the question. I'd love you to answer. Please come back, and we'll see you tomorrow.